How's it going? Yeah, like I say, this is 2 days after the last video. Milk inspector did show up yesterday. And like I say, he did comment. Walls in the milk house were nice, clean. Pipeline was clean and stuff. He was happy to see all that. He did comment about the walls in here. And like I say, until it gets a little warmer weather, this is what it's going to be in here. I mean, not much I can do about it. I'm not going to make an ice skating ring in there like I normally would have. So he wrote me up for that. He wrote me up to fix the bottom of the door here, which he said they're supposed to be so rodents can't get in, bugs. And like I say, this time of year it ain't that much of a problem, but the problem I have is I want to find a piece of plastic plywood, and I just want to cut off like the lower section of this door, reframe the bottom, put that piece of plywood in, maybe stuff a little more insulation in there. But seems like nobody wants to stock anything, a plastic plywood or a plastic heavy sheeting or something. So until I can find something here sometime, and then I can get that fixed. And the only other thing which I forgot, I don't have no hot water at the hand sink. Pipe broke underneath the sink there a couple weeks ago and I completely forgot about it. So, but he did pass me, and which I knew he was going to. You got to really have some really major issues or chronic issues, really I should say. If it's a continuous problems, then they get a little bit more strict. But like I say, they're pretty cooperative as long as you're making an effort, and you're fixing things that they tell you to fix, and just don't tell them to screw off. They work with you. I guess the reason why he did it this month instead of next month like I normally would be is he's having hip replacement surgery. So he's just trying to catch up and get ahead a little bit because he's going to be laid up for a couple weeks. But I thought too I'd talk about this. This is a pipeline. I bought this at a farm sale in 1998. And it sat in my barn until 2007 when we installed it. It was about January when we were putting this in, 2007. And like I say, pretty much anything here, this is all pretty much standard on any pipeline, just how they set it up. Biggest difference between pipelines is your control panels. This is 1980s technology, early 90s. This is supposed to be all automatic. Supposed to have lines coming down to your soap, acid, and sanitizer, and it automatically draw the stuff up. You just turn the timer. It's a mechanical timer, and it's got solenoids in there and relays, and it'll switch whatever it needs to switch, and it washes the system. Well, the manifold piece on top, it's got all these hoses that makes that system work. Pretty much everybody at the time told me it's more hassle than it's worth. When they work, they work. So you're just better off forgetting about it. Plus, parts for this is pretty much obsolete anymore. Anything other than just regular solenoids that are in here. So all I do is I just measure it out, put the soap in there, acid in there. I mean, the timer, everything else works the same. It just doesn't measure out on its own, which is no big deal. I mean, it takes me all 30 seconds to set that up, turn it, and I'm done and I can go. I looked at a pipeline the week before, and it was like 70s technology. It just had a timer box, and you actually had to put the soap and everything in there. It was only set up for 4 units, and I thought if it went cheap enough, I'd buy that one. It went for $1,400 or $1,500. And I thought this one was a better system, and I was going to wait on it. Well, I ended up buying this one. It went for, I bought everything here and all the pipe through the barn for $1,900. Now, most of them, they sell the claws and everything with it, but for some reason, this sale, they sold the claws separate. And I wasn't worried about buying them because I already had 3 of these because I milked cows with bucket milkers, and I had these Eclipse claws already, 3 of them. And they're a dime a dozen. You can pick them up. I mean, them claws new are like $500, I think, at the time. You can buy them now for used ones for $75, $100. So, I mean, I wasn't worried about it. So they auctioned them off. And you were getting claw. Basically, you're bidding on a claw and a pulsator. Well, and the guy that bought them bidded them up. Like I said, I didn't even bid on them because I wasn't worried about it. The guy that won the bid for $100, he only wanted 3 of them. So he took 3 claws and 3 pulsators. The auctioneer turned to me and asked me if I wanted the other ones. I said, yeah, for $100 I'll take them. So I got 2 claws and 2 pulsators because somebody walked off with one of the pulsators during the week. So they still had 1 more claw left. And as they started bidding, I bidded that one up to $50 and I won that. So I got 3 claws, 3 pulsators, and the whole pipeline system for $2,150 at the time. So that's how I ended up with that. And another fun fact about that auction was that was the day I was supposed to meet my wife. I knew my sister-in-law at the time. I was selling her calves, and I found this out later, after the fact, but my sister-in-law was trying to get my wife to come to the auction and try to set us up. But something came up. My wife couldn't make it. And then it was like the next week or something. It was about this time of year. We got to get renewed for our spray licenses. And my wife had her license. I went to class to get credits for mine, and they walked in. And, of course, my sister-in-law makes a beeline right to me and sat next to me. And, of course, I had to hear it afterward from all my neighbors that were sitting behind me that I was the only one in the class sitting with 2 women. The only women in the class. So that's how we got introduced. And then a couple weeks later, my wife snuck in here one afternoon and hunted me down. So that's how we ended up together. But yeah, that's how I got the pipeline, milkers and stuff. So, and then, like I say, I only run 5 claws in the parlor. I can run 6. You know, I got 6 stalls, so you run 6. Should have 6 claws. Well, like I say, I kept the 1 claw to keep on a bucket milker. I use this to milk fresh cows, treated cows, any cow that I don't need to go into the tank or don't want to go in the tank. And like I say, for the number of cows I milk, 5 units is more than enough. You know, I'll have 4 cows here, I have milkers on them, and then one up there, when this one gets done, I'll move it over to the next one, just swing the milker back and forth. And then, so I can run the milker in here. I put the petcocks up here in the vacuum line. So like I said, I can just bring the milker in here. If I got a treated cow, while I'm milking the rest of them, she's going to come in with them. Instead of having to keep her in here and keep the stall, because you're supposed to milk them last. Then I can just bring the milker in here, hook it up. I can milk her at the same time. I'm keeping her separate. Or, like I say, the other option is I can keep her till last and still milk her on the pipeline. I just got to make sure the pipe's not in the tank, so I don't risk milk being pumped to the tank. Like I say, it doesn't make a difference to run treated milk through the pipeline, as long as you're washing it and rinsing the system out and washing it afterward. So that's how I got a little bit about the pipeline. And then the bulk tank, I wasn't even going to buy this. This is the 4th tank we've owned. And like I said, the original tank my dad put in was a 310 gallon. And tanks are either round like this, or they'll be half mooned and have a flat top with the big lids that you can lift up. And I've had 3 of them. We had a 310, and then right after milk check went on my name, we came up on milk, added a few cows. I ended up getting a 415 gallon tank. And then I ended up flooding that tank out at a point, and I got a 545 gallon. And that's what I was going to move down here, because I had no plans on really expanding too many cows. I mean, that tank was going to be iffy. I was going to maybe be flooding it at times, but the tank was something that could have been held off. Now, this came up for sale in the local classified paper, $2,000. Now, any tank I've seen like this goes for anywhere from $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. The insurance company, when we set this up, they're telling me to replace a tank like this is, $15,000, $20,000 to buy this tank brand new. Now, the guy I bought it off of was the original owner of the tank. He bought this tank brand new in 1972. So this tank is going to be 50 years old next year. So like I say, for $2,000, I said I couldn't pass it up. It's a tank. The tank washer, this rod goes up in there and it's got like a jet action to it. Injects the soap and stuff in it and washes it. And then the other reason I decided to buy it, because it also came with this tank. And this is what they call a free heater or energy recovery system. And basically what it is this is filled with water. And they got these lines that come off the compressor up there. And the gases from the compressor go through here. And them lines, one line's, you go up, you don't want to touch anything on a refrigeration system unless you know what you're doing, because some of them lines are hotter than hell and some lines are cold. It just depends on what pressure it's under and whether it's on the cool side or hot side. Well, them gases come through here and there's coils around an inner tank and insulation. And this does two things. The water in the tank is cooling the gases in them lines, but also by absorbing this water, or the heat into the water, it's heating the water up. So what you're doing is you're pulling heat out of that, so the compressor cools the milk faster. You got cooler gases going back into the system to cool the milk, and by heating this water up, it goes from here into a conventional hot water tank. And you're saving money on electric again, because instead of taking direct well water, which saves roughly 60 degrees, instead of heating that water from 60 degrees up to 170, that 60 degree water is going in here, and them lines are heating it up to like 100, 110, 120 degrees, maybe at the most. So you got 100, say it's 110 degree water going into this tank then. So you're heating from 110 to 170. It takes a lot less electric or gas, whatever you're using to heat the water, to heat that up. So it helps you save money both ways. Now this isn't the original tank. The one that came with it, one of the lines broke inside there or something. I was losing coolant, or refrigerants, whatever they use at the time. And I wasn't going to put another one back on because this tank is $2,200 new. This was a new tank, but it got damaged in shipment. And like I say, I think it's on the back side. You can barely even tell. It had this protective wrap around it, and that was all shredded up. But when we pulled that off, you could hardly see a scratch on there. But because it was damaged, I assume they got paid out by insurance or the shipping company. It was the shipping company that damaged it anyhow. I bought it for $1,200 plus installation. So I figured for that much, it's worth putting back in. But I wasn't going to pay no $2,200 for that tank. So like I say, that's one of the things that helps you save electric, saves money. So I bought, like I say, I actually bought this tank. I bought it in 2006 because we moved it from the farm that was at and moved it in. We had this building up already, and we moved it in here so it was undercover, and then moved it around to get it into this position. So that one didn't sit around too long. Like I said, this sat in the barn for 9 years. But like I say, when you get a deal, you take it when you can, and you move on. So I don't know what else to say this. Either in the description or the comments down there, I might post a couple links here, because like I said, I got one where it's called Bulk Tanks Insider and Out, because I actually crawled down in this tank that one day to check, because I was having high bacteria counts, and I ended up crawling in the back end of that tank to see if anything was built up, to check that agitator and stuff. You can't see every corner just from dipping your head in that lid up top. So I mean, I talked a little bit about that. So maybe I'll post that, and so this doesn't get too long. I'll talk about the parlor in another video, which I think I do have another one up there too. Maybe I'll post that with it or something. We'll see. And I gotta get back and finish fixing the water cup. So I just always think there's something else more I wanted to say, but I guess I can always make another video. So thanks for watching. We'll catch up with you later.